Imagine discovering a prophecy that gives you goosebumps, something that could totally flip your world upside down. Padre Pio, a mysterious saint from Italy, made a shocking prediction that is so close to coming true today. With the whole world in chaos, war, and disaster, one thinks to himself, are we living the prophecy right now? So, who actually was Padre Pio, and what's his oh-so-scary prophecy? Pio is one of the most followed Christian saints in history. Born in Italy in a humble family, Pio developed a deep connection with God from a very young age, and went on to becoming a priest later. What made him stand out is that he used to get visions and messages from the Lord himself. In 1959, Padre Pio wrote a letter basically summarizing a few of the revelations he claimed to have received, and this was to serve as a guide to the people. Most of those messages were about the end times, and some things from the letter are terrifyingly relevant to the world we live in today. Now keep in mind that his prophecies weren't just vague ideas. They talked about natural disasters, war, and chaos. Almost as if he could see our future, you know? Everyone around him was in awe of how accurate his visions were, and today, people once more are seeing the connection between his prediction and the state of the world today. One of the most popular and mysterious predictions from Padre Pio is the 3 days of darkness. People aren't only intrigued but also freaked out by it. Now, according to Padre, the 3 days of darkness are supposed to be humanity's doom, a massive test, with the whole planet shrouded in darkness. But nobody really knows for sure what will happen in those days, so naturally, it's causing a lot of speculation and distress. Some think this is an opportunity for them to sit down and really think deeply about their life and what they've done, while others believe it's going to be something way more intense and catastrophic. And it totally makes sense that this prophecy stirs up fear and all kinds of questions, right? It's like, how do you even get ready for something like this? Now, self-proclaimed astrologists and scientists on TikTok have confirmed that the Earth will have to go through 3 days of complete darkness in 2025.
3 days of darkness will occur when the Earth passes through the photon belt. This is as the Earth enters and passes through this belt.
Remember, nobody really knows what to do when that happens. Some people are urging others to gather their families and pray. Some believe it's merely a scientific phenomenon that will simply pass. And some believe that the Simpsons were the real predictors. Here's something that will surprise you. Padre Pio wasn't the only person to predict the 3 days of darkness. It actually has roots in Christian tradition and even in the Bible. We first saw this theme of darkness discussed in the book of Exodus, which claims that a plague in Egypt brought about 3 days of complete darkness. But keep in mind that darkness is a symbol, a metaphor for major hardships, especially for the pharaohs of Egypt. You could say this period of darkness was meant to shake them up and get them to take a hard look at their actions. What sort of cements this prophecy is that Padre Pio wasn't the only one to warn us of this. Several other mystics like Anna Maria Taigi and Marie Houli have also warned us of something similar. Anna stated, "There shall come over the whole earth an intense darkness lasting 3 days and 3 nights. Nothing can be seen, and the air will be laden with pestilence, which will claim mainly but not only the enemies of religion. It will be impossible to use any man-made lighting during this darkness, except blessed candles." Some people look at the prophecy and think it's meant to be more symbolic, like it could represent spiritual darkness or times of serious moral confusion, rather than actual physical darkness. Skeptics often fall into this camp, saying the prophecy is more about reflecting on our inner lives, sort of like a big wake-up call for people to reevaluate their actions and values. For them, it's not so much a literal darkness covering the earth, but a metaphor for humanity's struggles and the need to reconnect with something deeper. On the flip side, a lot of believers take Padre Pio's prophecy very literally. They prepare for this event just like they would for any disaster. Some people stock up on candles, especially blessed ones as the tradition goes. Others gather supplies or even set up little spaces in their homes where they can stay protected during those dark days. It's kind of amazing to see how serious some people are about this, as if they're almost expecting this prophecy to play out exactly as Padre Pio described. And honestly, both sides have valid points. For some, it's a moment of deep spiritual introspection, while for others, it's a call to prepare for something tangible. But Padre Pio talked about a future of pain and chaos, with children suffering and immense destruction. He basically warned of a time when evil would be unleashed on earth, with society divided and people turning against each other. That does sound familiar, doesn't it? I mean, would you just look at the state of the world right now? All these bloody wars, never-ending social divisions, natural disasters. It's like we're currently living in Padre Pio's prediction. There's so much destruction and gore. And don't even get me started with the environmental crises. It's like all his warnings are coming to life and there's no escape. Some people even believe that these events are a sneak peek of the 3 days of darkness Padre saw. For example, if you remember the Maui fires last year, they destroyed pretty much everything, wiping out entire communities and causing such intense heartbreak. The impact is just so deep. Then there are the earthquakes, like the big ones that recently hit Turkey and Syria, ruining entire cities and leaving so many people just stranded.
A catastrophic 7.8 magnitude earthquake has killed up to 5,000 people in Turkey and neighboring country Syria.
Palestine is currently going through a genocide, and it's like the earth itself is groaning under all this pressure and misery. It's almost as if each of these events is a reminder of how fragile things really are. And for some, these disasters feel like warnings, echoes of Padre Pio's prophecy about a time when humanity faces trials on a whole new level. Padre Pio didn't just predict the 3 days of darkness. He had other prophecies that are just as intense and seem almost too close to what we're experiencing today. Let's talk about a few. One of his big warnings was about humanity drifting away from faith. He would often talk about how one day humans would turn away from God, just immersed in their materialistic little lives. And honestly, doesn't that feel familiar? These days, everyone's literally just glued to their screens and running after money. It kind of does feel like we're living in the very world he warned about. He also predicted something he called moral decline, where people would compromise their values and get desensitized to things that used to shock them. Sound familiar? From constant news about violence to debates on ethics around technology, it's all starting to feel pretty real, like we're seeing his vision play out right in front of us. So when we look at all of Padre Pio's predictions together, you can tell he wasn't just trying to freak people out about random events. I believe his goal was to preach to everyone to keep their faith strong and be kind, even when things are bad. His messages were more like a guide back to what really matters. So folks, what do you think? Are these just strange coincidences? Or could there be something more going on here? Let us know in the comments.